Sunderland are finally not rubbish. They're in Europe. We've got over £100 million to spend, and this summer feels absolutely pivotal for our flagship club. Meanwhile, we need to do some rebuilds just about everywhere else in Europe because things are not going so well. I don't think I'll ever be allowed into Argentina again after what I've done to Independiente. But South Africa and Japan, they're my places. We've got quite a lot to do in this summer transfer window, including spending all this money at Sunderland. We talked in the last episode about having some big decisions to make this summer with Sunderland. The big decision is who our front three at Sunderland are going to be next year. Are we going to stick? Hold on, let's get him in. Are we going to stick with Vink, Rego, and I mean, it probably won't be Quenda. It could be Quenda. I mean, maybe it will be Quenda. I mean, it's traditionally been Bakayoko. Do we stick with that? Or does Quenda come in and maybe Wiper from Hamburg? And does he go to Hamburg to take over? Because there's not really a spot for him at Sunderland. He's been brilliant at Standard Liège, but isn't going to go back there. Maybe we have a striker merry-go-round. We probably need a goalkeeper merry-go-round as well, because I think Restes is probably holding Sunderland back at this point. But, I mean, it is a very strong team. We've got a lot of money to spend. And like I say, big rebuild jobs throughout the rest of Europe. Hamburg finishing 8th in Bundesliga is not ideal. Standard Liège finishing 4th in Belgium, not ideal. Dinamo Zagreb are having a lovely old time and could be part of this striker merry-go-round as well, because Friggin would be another option to go into Hamburg if Wiper goes, because Friggin probably needs to leave because Masuku needs to be the starting striker at Zagreb next season. And then obviously we've got Urawa Red Dragons, Red Diamonds. Why do I keep calling them Red Dragons? Red Diamonds, Red Diamonds, Diamonds. Urawa Red Diamonds. Looks like we've got a good chance of winning the league in Japan, which would be jolly nice. Mamelodi Sundowns. Are we going to win the Club World Cup? It's not started yet, so we don't know. And Independiente, since the last episode, are off the bottom of the league. When that window opens, we'll go and see what's gone on. I'm going nowhere near Argentina before then. Let's spend some money at Sunderland. And in answer to the question about who's going to be in our front three, well, one of them is going to be Cedric Sonogo, who we tried to sign last season. He didn't want to come to us then, but we have got him now. Only £54 million as well. We've overspent more than that in the past. He's going to be our new starting right winger, 21-year-old Ivorian. Very happy to have him in. We've got another goalkeeper as well, a backup keeper coming in from Celtic. And then we move on into what went on the rest of the summer. So the main focus was on the goalkeeper problem and youngsters. We didn't need to do a huge amount. In fact, we did more sending players out of the club than we did anything else. But I guess the one big notable exit is Quenda, who has left, but not to go back to Hamburg. He wouldn't go back to Hamburg on loan. I toyed with the idea of moving him to Hamburg with a shenanigans transfer, but they had nowhere near that kind of money, and we needed to balance the books at Sunderland. So we've kind of cut our losses on Quenda. I think it's the last one of the big waste of money transfers that we did when I wasn't paying enough attention to Sunderland. We've got all but 30 or 40 million of our money back. And I think we'll just be grateful that we got the money back. It would have been nice to keep him at Hamburg, but like I say, he wouldn't go there on loan. He probably wouldn't have gone there permanently. He's a Champions League quality player. He just didn't fit in with us. And with us bringing in Sonogo, we just didn't need him. So he's moved on. He's the main sale this summer. The other sale is Romain S., who we've sold to Leeds for 18 million. He's another one that we just spent too much money on and didn't really use. And then some of the fringies have got on free transfers. Fresneda, Dardai. We're not going to sign Dross like that to loan out anymore. We're going to focus on good young players and players from within our own empire. And you can see that we've moved a lot of our fringe players out to get game time throughout the empire. So Mark Bernal and Toplak have gone to Dinamo Zagreb. So Toplak agreeing to go back to Dinamo Zagreb this summer is big news, because he's going to have a great season being a starter for them, which is ideal And we have also, there he is, we're trying to get this partnership going. So Jose da Costa, although development-wise, it probably would have made more sense sending him to Hamburg, I figured partnering him with Toplak at Zagreb and have the two of them, both 20 years old, play a season together as a starting partnership. If they're going to have any chance of getting through at Hamburg, getting through at Sunderland, they'll start to form a partnership now. And that is a Croatian starting defender and an English starting defender internationally. So they're not disastrous. We've also sent a couple to Hamburg on loan. So Marcos, who was there on loan last year, has gone back on loan again, but this time as the starting keeper. And Fabian Merian, who we signed for Sunderland last summer, haven't really used. He's gone on loan to Hamburg as well. Lauren has gone to Dinamo Zagreb. He was on loan at Hamburg last year. And I mean, he'll be very good for Zagreb. And then Unkossi has gone to Standard Liège after a disappointing loan at Hamburg. Has started pretty well at Standard Liège as potentially the Krupi long-term replacement. He's been joined by Thomas Parmo, who's done a couple of loans outside of the Empire, but has now finally done a in-network loan and looks like he's doing quite well, which is very nice to see. We then got rid of a couple of other fringe players on loans just to get them game time. These are players, again, who didn't really want to go to anyone else within our network. We ended up keeping Wiper at Hamburg, so there was no point sending young strikers to Hamburg, and they wouldn't go to Standard Liège or Dinamo Zagreb, so they've gone to Real Betis and Brighton, respectively. And then Bellinho, who I mentioned at the end of the last episode, came through at Dinamo Zagreb. The big European clubs came hunting, so we just bought him for Sunderland, have loaned him back, and just keeps him within the Empire. And then the rest of the signings at Sunderland, we've got our new goalkeeper, Carlo Maimoni, 21-year-old Italian goalkeeper, 3 stars of current ability, 5-star potential. He comes in for Udinese. He's our new starting goalkeeper. And we've also got Murat Peksin, who is a 21-year-old Turkish international who's just as good. 56 million for him from Schalke. Restes is now our 3rd choice keeper. We did try and loan him out. He wouldn't go anywhere. So if anyone wants to buy him, he is for sale. And then aside from that, the only other signing, Victor Norimark, is an 18-year-old Danish international centre-back, as we keep the young centre-backs flowing. So with Toplak and Da Costa starting for Dinamo Zagreb, Norimark is actually going to be getting game time off the bench at Sunderland, and there's probably an argument for making him homegrown at club by keeping him here and not ever actually loaning him out, because he's going to be pretty good. Da Costa's already homegrown at club. Toplak never would have been because he was too old when we signed him. But maybe we don't loan him out. And then we also signed a young left back, Martinho Balde, 20-year-old Portuguese left back, comes in from Porto. And again, just keeping him around the squad for now. That's not to say he won't be leaving on loan at some point. But if he does leave, he'll be leaving a team who are top of the Premier League. Come on then, look at us. 5 games in, it's September, we're top of the Premier League, 5 wins from 5. The media think we're going to get in the Champions League. Sky Vink, who we decided to keep rather than replacing with Wiper, is in the media dream 11. He's got 6 from 5 so far this season and is now an elite striker. It's taken him 4 years of development, but our patience is being rewarded with Vink. And as you saw on there as well, Sonogo is one of the best players in the league as well. So we have got a very useful attack, a very useful team, and we are looking very, very good at the start of this season, which is absolutely delightful. Sunderland might actually win the Premier League. Hamburg is going almost as badly as Independiente. As you can see, 6 games in, we're down in 16th place. That is in a relegation position at the moment. Things are not going well. It's one of the reasons why we decided to keep Wiper here, because if we lose him, what else have we got? But, I mean, there's not even anyone interested in him now. Have we lost our window to sell him? We'll see, I guess. But the big problem we've got at Hamburg is there's no money. We probably do need to sell a big player for a big amount of cash. Or realistically, what we need to do is get our lazy bottoms into the Champions League, because everyone else has had either Premier League or Champions League money, all of our other European teams, and are swimming in cash. Hamburg are struggling. We might need to get back to financial shenanigans for a year or two with Hamburg. because we are struggling. As you can see, we don't have a huge amount of saleable assets, or at least the ones that we have, we want to keep. So we're feeding off scraps. We've got 2 loans in from Sunderland. Josh King comes in from Standard Liège just because we needed a player. He was starting to attract interest from European clubs, but it's not even, I mean, I wasn't devastated and worried about losing Josh King. It was more a case of, actually, you know what? He'd play for Hamburg. So in he came, and then it's just a couple of making up the numbers fringies that are nice and cheap. It is not a great squad. We need to, I think we should have sold one. We didn't actually get any offers for Wiper. If we could sell him to Al Hilal for 50 million, it would go a long way to letting us do a Hamburg rebuild. But that's basically what we're waiting for, a Hamburg rebuild. We need some money. We might have to bring back financial shenanigans, or we are in very real danger of getting relegated with Hamburg. And we are playing well below our level, as you can see. That hurts as well, seeing that he's one of the best players in the league. He didn't want to join us. He refused to. The slow and steady decline of Standard Liège continues after winning the league a few years ago. We're now dropped all the way down to 5th place at the start of the season. And as you can see, it's not for want of trying to spend some money. We are throwing the cash around. There's a lot of cash to still throw around, but we've done some transfers. 30 million pounds worth of players have come in. 30 million pounds worth have left as well, but they're players we weren't actually that desperate to keep hold of. Josh King, obviously one of them. We decided to cash in on Favre to Paris FC because he's 33. Yeah, he was great last season, but we can't be building a team around him. Likewise, Sanchez, old man, so he moves on as well. We managed to get one of our players down to Mamelodi Sundowns again. We signed him earlier in the window, moved him back down. But we got Nkossi in on loan from Sunderland, who looks like he's half decent. But if he's the Krupi replacement, it really does show how bad things are getting. We've signed a youngster from Independiente as well and loaned him back because he wanted to come to Europe. And we also brought in Josip Sutalo from Dinamo Zagreb because I wanted to unite Da Costa and Top Black. We just moved Sotalo. I mean, he'd gone back to Dinamo Zagreb to end his career, having started there, but now he's moved to Standard Liège because we needed a defender more here to make room for youth development going on at Zagreb. But yeah, it's for such a large amount of money in and out, there's nothing majorly spectacular to get excited about Standard Liège. I guess the really exciting thing is Lunga Molekwa, who we signed then and then loaned him out. No, he was never loaned out. He just came, so he scored 10 from 10, came in 6 from 6 for us. The man's a goal a game striker. So he's probably the junior Krupi replacement. We've got 2 young South African strikers, both fighting for that centre forward spot at Standard Liège. Plus we've still got the guy at Dinamo Zagreb as well. So it's quite exciting for South African strikers because obviously we still have one here as well, Dinamo Zagreb. If we have a look, I mean, I love him. We did sell Friggin. Friggin, where is he? He went to Al Faisali for £7.5 million. There was quite a few quite big sales this summer. Got rid of a lot of the fringe players. Obviously, Friggin left, Sutalu left, we already knew about. And Bellinho went to Sunderland as well and was immediately loaned back. You can see we've taken a lot of players in on loan from Sunderland and Hamburg, and also brought a couple in from Mamelodi Sundowns as well. We don't need to send money to Mamelodi Sundowns at the moment either, because they've got so much of it. So Dr. Umdaluli and Masheko both came in for next to nothing and have been loaned back just to keep the conveyor belt rolling. But we didn't need to send millions of pounds to them because they've got more money than they know what to do with at the Mamelodi Sundowns at the moment. We also signed this guy, Kobayashi, from Urara Red Diamonds. who is attracting interest from European clubs. So we brought him in and immediately loaned him back. So he's on our books now. And of course, we know about Da Costa coming in on loan from Sunderland, Berlinho coming back in on loan from Sunderland as well. But the big headline thing is we've got that centre-back partnership when they're in the team, Toplak and Da Costa. And then we've got Masuku up top, scoring all of the goals, and there are some bigger clubs starting to look at him as well. So I think he'll be at Hamburg within a year, and then maybe we take one of the two who's at Standard Liège and bring them here and just keep our South African strikers being shared around all our European clubs. Because in fact, the one place that doesn't really have a decent South African striker now is Mamelodi Sundowns in South Africa. We've signed this guy, Mandla Reed. We've brought in from Kaizer Chiefs, because he was in the Dream 11. I suspect he's not going to be as good as some of the other youngsters we've had previously. But yeah, he's not quite as shiny and impressive. And as you can see, with this team being absolutely stripped apart the way it has been, we've had a slowish start to the season. That is coming off the back as well of playing in the Club World Cup, where we got absolutely battered. We are obviously in the Champions League as well, and we've made it into the group stage of the Champions League, so that's all looking fine. And transfer wise, we've not sold anyone we didn't want to sell. Bartman didn't want to be here anymore. He wanted to go to Europe. We didn't really want him at any of our places in Europe. I think we probably have better options. So he's gone to someone in Belgium that's not Standard Liège. This guy, Mlangeni, is the first example of a player coming in on loan from one of our European clubs who wasn't part of the sale deal. We actually applied for it and he came. This isn't the same window where we sold him. So that's proof that we're getting better. I think our reputation is probably rising. We've also spent over £1 million on a player for the first time. Leon Leif Al Nasaibi comes in from Brazil Greece via Brazil for over £1 million for a young right back. And then we beat it even further by spending £1.7 million on a South African who has been playing in Europe. We're bringing the South African boys back home. This is the next stage of development for the Sundowns. This is a guy in his prime, 27 years old, 18 caps for South Africa, now back in South Africa and presumably going to stay now. He's had his time in Europe. He's now come back home. No reason to move on again now. We can pay him good money. We can pay him more than he was earning in Europe. We might not have a constant conveyor belt if we can get more players like that. And obviously we are going to reach the point where some of the ones who've gone to Europe will start to fail and will hopefully come back and slot back into this team in their mid-20s as well. So the next phase of Sundowns begins. We did also do some transfers at Independiente. As you can imagine, we had to. Things became desperate at Independiente. It was not a fun time, but you can see the transfers we've now done are improving us. We are a much better team now than we were. I mean, look at that. But then look at this post-transfer window. So I think what I'd done inadvertently is sold all the over 30s, which we had tried to fix in the last transfer window by bringing in a few more. But all the youngsters went out on loan. You can see just how many players were out on loan. And we just had barely anybody in the squad. A lot of our best young players are out on loan. So we just had a mostly empty squad, which is what we've now fixed. We've not loaned as many players out. We're going to continue to not loan as many players out. And we've started to bring a few players back in again. So we've got a centre-back, Geronimo Spinner, an actual centre-back. We've also got Santillan, an actual left-back. We've signed another centre-back. So we've actually got some players as well. And slowly but surely starting to improve. I think we're over the hump at Independiente, fingers crossed. And we're starting to put this club back together again. And then Urawa Red Diamonds is just a case of continuing what we'd already started to do. Not really selling anybody unless we decide we don't want them. So Kobayashi went to Dinamo Zagreb. Ramaj, who had been our starting goalkeeper but lost his spot, he's gone to Toulouse. And we've just been playing in goal Cermak, who's the kid who's on loan from Sunderland. So he's the starting goalkeeper. Magrao is still knocking around as well. There'll be someone we can loan in from elsewhere within the Empire. If we don't find anyone to come in permanently, it could even be Cermak again for another season. But we brought in this guy, Tanaka, for some experience at the back, and then just continued buying decent Japanese players to fill squad gaps. But we are looking good for winning the league. The season's not over yet. It will be soon. But we are looking pretty good. We are a very good team, and hopefully we'll be getting ourselves back into the Champions League. And the season ends very, very soon. The transfer window's only just closed in Europe on the 23rd of September. Our season ends in November. We've only got 4 league games left. So we have all but won the league. In fact, we've already won the league, which is jolly nice to see. Now we just need to capitalise on that and build on that, get ourselves back into the Champions League and win it. Because if we win that, milestones. We've already won the African one, remember? And there you go. We've moved forward to November. There is your confirmation that we have won the league here in Japan. We didn't win anything else, which is a little bit of a shame. But Sakamoto, who we brought in last season, what a season for him. 35 goals from 37 appearances in the league for a guy who'd never really scored goals before. He's still only played 1 game for Japan. What's he got to do to get a start for Japan? That's got to be a J-League record. Doing it on his own. And then the other guy that I guess is worth checking in on and seeing how he's getting on, Cermak, who hopefully has a bright future for him back at Sunderland, although he'll have noticed that we've signed 2 more goalkeepers there and he's fallen significantly down that pecking order, which is probably not ideal from his perspective. Who's actually playing in goal for us at the moment? I don't know why he's on the bench and we've not got a goalkeeper. I'm going to choose not to question it. And there is the end of the Argentinian season as well. Not disastrous in the end. If we look at the overall league table, we've made it up to 20th place. Never really in danger of getting relegated. It was fine. We've not got a lot of money to spend. We're massively in debt. A huge rebuild job. That's future Kev's problem. I'm just going to pretend that season never happened. All of which brings us to the start of January, and we can check in on our teams. And as you can see, January begins with Sunderland still top of the Premier League. Half of the Premier League season gone. Sunderland top of the league, 1 point ahead of Arsenal. Sky Vink is the top scorer in the league, 14 goals for him. So he is an absolute superstar, 20 goals in all competitions as well. Suggests Sunderland also doing pretty well in the Europa League. I mean, this could be a Premier League and Europa League double for Sunderland this season. One way or the other, this Sunderland team should be playing in the Champions League next season. We've got money to spend in January. I'll worry about that in the next episode. For now, just don't rock the boat. We've only got 1 player who wants to leave. Just don't rock the boat. We finally have a squad at Sunderland that works. Just leave them well alone. Don't mess with it. Just win the league. Hamburg, I'm starting to give up all hope for. I think mid-table again. Still no money. Nothing really to spend. Very much a one-man team. And that one man's value is now decreasing because he's not playing as well this year as he did last year. I don't really know what I can do to fix that without doing some financial cheating, which I am trying to avoid doing, but we might just have to do it at some point. Standard Liège do seem to be moving back in the right direction, though. Back up to 4th in the league, only 10 points behind Club Bruges. But the most exciting thing at Standard Liège is Lunga Molekwa, who has stepped into the junior Krupi void and is actually better than he was. 13 goals from 14 appearances, a 7.26. Mamelodi Sundowns are producing some good strikers, and we are going to have some decisions to make when it comes to that Hamburg rebuild. We can just go 2 up top with the 2 South African boys, the one from here and the one from Dinamo Zagreb. But there's more as well. We've got Nkosi, who's on loan from Sunderland. He's decent. We've also got Kunani, who, I mean, he's not really getting a look in. He should go back to Sundowns for a year. But yeah, I mean, this is a Standard Liège team that really is doing pretty well, just in a league where there's a bunch of teams that all win every game. And we're doing all right in that. So, I mean, Chelsea and Dortmund being in it means it's going to be quite hard to win. But fingers crossed we can try and win the conference. And then Dinamo Zagreb, well clear at the top of the league, in the Champions League phase again, doing worse than we did last year. Less said about that, the better. But what we are going to say some things about is another South African striker, Bonolo Masuku, who weirdly, I mean, that's the Dinamo Zagreb coaching staff saying, he's not all that. I mean, who are your guys then? My boys, Da Costa and Toplak are the two best players at the club. That is huge for Sunderland. Two lads on loan from Sunderland. Bellinho, of course, is on loan from Sunderland as well, as is Lauren. And then they've got another defender that they're developing themselves as well. It's a defender factory here. But they've also got this guy, who's the chap who came in from Paris Saint-Germain, who seems to be doing all right. Now he's learning to play central midfield. So things are looking pretty good as ever at Dinamo Zagreb. Money to spend as well. And then the Sundowns have sorted themselves out. Top of the league. Looking jolly good there. Don't have the top scorer in the league because we don't really have a striker. I mean, it is an issue. We could really do with bringing one of our strikers back from Europe. But we are looking good in the Champions League. Battering our group rivals. I mean, that's a strong team, isn't it? Hopefully we can win back the Champions League this year after losing in the final last year. That would be nice. That would be very, very nice. But that brings us to the end of this video because the January transfer window itself will take place in the next one. And from there, we'll see how we get on in the second half of the season. But that Sunderland turnaround over the course of the last 3 or 4 episodes, we're finally moving in the right direction. We might actually complete this save, or at the very least, unlock another club in the next episode or 2. But if you are enjoying it, please make sure you leave a nice big thumbs up on there for me. Subscribe to the channel for loads more Football Manager content. And thank you very much for watching.